Hello, and welcome to another episode of this month's Halloween special. Thank you to everyone who has been so supportive, and I really do hope you're enjoying the videos as much as I am enjoying making them. I have a fun cover song that I have created that I will do alongside my next makeup look, so stay tuned for that coming soon. Today, I have 3 spooky stories for you. Thanks again to the people who sent them in. This makeup look today took a really long time. It isn't my favourite, and at some point I would love to do a different type of mermaid/siren look, maybe next month. Anyway, if you would like to follow me on Instagram, I will have my link in the description, and if you missed the last 2 videos, I will put a link to the playlist in the description too. Also, I have been trying to record this for 2 days now, but there is a lot of construction going on around my home. So I'm just going to have to make do, and I hope it doesn't cause too much of a disturbance to you. Now, sit back, relax, if you can, and let's begin. Story number 1. This story is from when I was in a boarding school based up in Gloucester. So the school used to be a village centuries ago. Then the mansions and stables, etc., all got made into classrooms and boarding houses. So the school literally had a village surrounding it and within it. It also included the village church and graveyard in the school grounds. We used to have to attend chapel every Sunday. Anyway, one night in my boarding house, I went to the communal bathroom when everyone was asleep. To get there, you had to turn a corner and there was a long straight corridor with the bathroom door to the side of the corridor, and the junior dorm room at the end of the corridor. When I turned the corner, I stopped, and down the end of the corridor was a small girl in a nightdress, longish dark hair, turned away from me and knocking on the junior's door. Then she slightly opened it and whispered, "Good night, juniors." I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. You know, when it's dark and your eyes start adjusting and you think you can see things that aren't really there. But a little girl's voice spoke. No one in the house was that young and small, and it was not a voice I recognized. I quickly ran down half the corridor straight into the bathroom and stayed in there a few minutes. When I came back out, no one was there. The next morning, I went and asked all the juniors individually, not telling anyone else I was doing this, if they heard knocking on their door last night, or anyone saying good night. They all said only when matron came hours earlier calling lights out, and that was it. I went down to the graveyard with my friend during lunch break and told her what happened. She then found a grave, which we found was the youngest aged person in there. It was a little girl, aged 9, as it said on her grave. I don't know if what happened was coincidence and my mind playing tricks on me, or it actually happened, but a voice was so real and clear that night. So, who knows? Story number 2. So when I was about 7 years old, myself, my mum and dad lived in a cottage in Teignmouth. It all started when we began to hear the bloke next door screaming, "Please, leave me alone!" at all hours of the night. But we shrugged it off, thinking he was just a bit crazy. Then I became seriously ill. I could not keep any food or water down for about 6 months. We were back and forth from the hospital, and they could not find the source of what was making me so ill. All this time I was having the strangest dreams of faces at my bedroom window, and this recurring dream of throwing myself down the staircase. Both my mum and dad were constantly hearing and seeing strange things. You know, the usual paranormal stuff like orbs, things being moved, footsteps, etc. Until one night, it all came to a head. I was asleep upstairs. My parents were down in the living room just watching TV. The chap next door was having a really bad episode, screaming at the top of his lungs. All of a sudden, a black figure appears by the fireplace in the lounge and dives forward into my dad. He starts coughing and spluttering, and all the blood drains from his face. My mum then starts screaming, "Get out! Leave!" My dad collapses and drops to the floor. After about half an hour of screaming, my dad drops his head back, and this black smoke comes out of his mouth with the sound of a death rattle. It leaves the living room and heads upstairs. My mum immediately runs up to find it hovering over me whilst I was asleep, but it left me alone and floated through my bedroom wall into next door. And the bloke starts screaming again. We call in all sorts of exorcists and religious people to try and deal with whatever the hell it was, and eventually we found out the cottage we were renting was home to an old sailor that lived a horrible life full of trauma. We very quickly moved out after this. And as soon as we did, I got better. It was all very strange. Only recently I put 2 and 2 together to the reason why I might have been so ill. Story number 3. I went to Menorca with my ex-husband in 1988. 3 days before we were about to leave, I had the worst nightmare in the world of a horrible, evil-looking old lady, dressed in black, trying to pull my nan through the door of her flat. I was dragging my nan back from the door. I woke up terrified and saw a figure next to my bed, reaching out to me, and I screamed. My ex-husband woke up and had to calm me down because I was so terrified. The next morning I said, "I know something's wrong." Our friends picked us up from Bristol Airport, and I was very, very subdued and quiet. This nightmare was on my mind so much that I had mentioned it, and they went quiet. We got back to our house, and I said to everyone I was going to ring my mum, and they said not to do it. But I did anyway, and my mum told me that Nan had had a serious stroke. She had it on the night of my nightmare. She had been told her last rites being a Catholic, but managed to pull through. I was told she was okay, and so we went to see Nan the next day, and she looked so happy to see me. We looked at photos. It was very emotional. That night, we were absolutely exhausted and we went to bed. In the night, I felt pains and pins and needles down the side of my body. It was really painful and really strong. I woke up to hear banging on the front door. It was my mum and stepdad to tell us that my nan had died. The pain I felt was on the same side that Nan had her stroke. So, who was that little girl? Was she the little girl from the grave? And why did that sailor want to hurt people? Or was it the sailor? Or just a demon living in their home? And what do you think it means? The dream? Was it a connection? Why the creepy lady trying to pull the Nan away? Angel of death? Tell me your thoughts. And please, if you have any stories, feel free to message me on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope you enjoyed. Goodbye for now.